Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do our That One Dude video. This is the series where every single week I pick one dude that I feel really confident about. Last week we were a little bit premature on a Wednesday. Now I want to do it on a Friday so we have more news, more notes about the specific players that I'm deciding between. Week 1, Keenan Allen, eruption spot. Week 2, Cooper Kupp, 5 catches, 120 yards, eruption spot. Last week, Emmanuel Sanders, donkey pick. Terrible. So Emmanuel Sanders stunk up the joint last week. I'll take responsibility for that one. If you watch my Friday show, and then if you watch my Sunday before lock show on Sunday morning before the game started at 11 a.m., you would know that I was very much off Emmanuel Sanders. Me making that video on a Wednesday was probably a bad idea. But then news came out that you probably had Jair Alexander going to be covering Sanders. Sanders dealing with somewhat of an injury, and just everything made it so he was not that one dude for me at all. So apologize for the people that didn't get to see the later shows, but we'll be back on the saddle. Feel really good about this week. And yeah, we don't have a wide receiver this week, so it's going to be interesting. Is it a running back? Is it a quarterback? Is it a tight end? It's not a wide receiver for the first time in 4 weeks. That One Dude is a video series where, again, I pick one dude that I feel really confident about for really either format, cash or tournaments. And I'm not trying to pick popular players. I could pick Tyler Lockett this week. I can pick Austin Eckler or Keenan Allen again this week, and I don't want to repeat. Last week I would have picked Keenan Allen, but I didn't want to repeat same players that I've already picked. So I'm not going to pick popular players. I'm going to be picking players that are very low owned or lower owned than they should be by a decent margin. So with that said, welcome to the channel if you're new. My name is Sal Vetri. I do cover daily fantasy sports in the NFL, MLB, NBA, and WNBA. And I'm excited about this NFL slate that we have for this weekend. And I'm excited about that one dude that I have because, oh boy, this guy is not being owned at all. He is way, way, way too low owned as of right now. So with that said, let's get into who that one dude might be. Before we do, actually, if you can come down into the description, there's some free giveaways. There's an NFL daily fantasy course that's $100 off. If you want to know more about that, comment, hey Sal, can I get that coupon? I'll give it to you. Doing it because we hit 10,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much. So much fun. Hit the subscribe button, join the community. Let's get into the video. All right, as I just paused to simmer my bacon down that is on the stove top right now, the one that thing to burn while I'm doing a video, burn alive in here, that'd be terrible. So, is it a quarterback this week, you might ask? There's some interesting quarterbacks as I've gone over so far this week, but it's not a quarterback. Is it a running back, that one dude this week? There's some really interesting ones. The guy who made it right next to my guy I decided on was a running back, but it's going to be a tight end. It's going to be a tight end. That one dude this week is going to be the only, Darren Waller. Darren Waller is that one dude this week for me. I'm kind of excited about this. So right now, let me get over to Darren Waller himself. So, look, Darren Waller right now, I expected him to come in as one of the highest owned tight ends on the slate, one of the higher owned plays on the slate for what he did last week, 14 targets, 13 receptions, for what he has this week in terms of his matchup. And for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I have no idea why, he's not. And I guess the reasons are that Will Dissly is becoming a chalk tight end right now. That's disgusting. Evan Ingram is becoming chalk. That's fine. He deserves chalk, but people are really going to be playing twice as much Will Dissly, twice as much Evan Ingram as Darren Waller, who's cheaper than Evan Ingram, who's more expensive for sure than Dissly, but obviously more talented, going to see 2 to 3 times the amount of targets, if not more, if not 4 times as many targets as Will Dissly this week. I get it. I understand the hype around Will Dissly facing Arizona. I understand the hype around Evan Ingram being a monster last week, having a good matchup against Washington. But do people not know what Darren Waller has done this year? Have they not been keeping attention to how bad the Colts are against tight ends and how purposely bad they are against tight ends? So let's just read some stats. Right now you have Darren Waller, second in the league in targets for tight ends at 29, only one behind Evan Ingram, who has 30, so pretty much averaging both of them 10 targets a game. He's first in the league in receptions, though, catching 26 of his 29 targets. Fantastic. He's third in the league in yards with 267. He's done all of this, compiled tight end number 1 numbers, and for fantasy purposes, like an elite tight end at $5,200, and he's done it all without scoring a touchdown. As we know, Evan Ingram has scored a few. And his price point is only $5,200 this week. Derek Carr, when targeting Darren Waller this year, 105 passer rating on those 29 attempts. That is very, very good. Obviously, somewhat indicated by the 26 completions. You have second on the slate behind Kelsey in air yards, so more air yards at his price tag than Evan Ingram, who is 3 to 2 times more owned, who is $500 more expensive. And then you have a few other factors that we'll get into in terms of injuries for his defense that he's going up against and that defense as a whole. So you have Darren Waller, who right now is by all means a top 5 tight end through 3 weeks. He fits the bill. Last year you had in this offense Jared Cook through John Gruden being the focal point once they let Amari Cooper go at the midway point of that season. But even when Amari was there, Jared Cook was still being utilized as like the one wide receiver option for Derek Carr. Derek Carr has always liked his tight ends as he's been there in Oakland. And now you have probably the most athletically gifted tight end in the man over my shoulder. Big smile himself, Darren Waller. So Darren Waller's getting a lot of hype in the preseason. I believe Matthew Berry was on his podcast over the summer. I listened and he said, yeah, we were talking to the Oakland Raiders and their offensive coaching staff, and we said, who's the sleeper this year? Is it Josh Jacobs, the rookie? Is it getting Tyrell? At that point, is it, obviously we know AB is going to be fine. Who's the sleeper? Offensive line, what is it? And they said, no, watch Darren Waller, kid from Baltimore Ravens, who's been out of the league for some just personal issues, but watch this guy because he's blowing people away. And that's exactly what he's done. Now he gets the Colts, who literally are the definition of letting your tight end and running back catch the ball. Last year, they allowed the most running back catches. Last year, they allowed the most overall targets to be completed to running backs, and they allowed a ton of receptions to tight ends, top 5 in the league. The Colts want their own defense. They don't want you to throw deep on them. They will not let you beat them deep. They're a defense that says, yes, throw it 7 to 5 yards, whether it's to your tight end, your slot wide receiver, or who runs shorter routes and not intermediate routes, or your running back. Well, this Oakland team, Josh Jacobs is not being used in the passing game. Even if they, quote, say they want to use him more, he's not being used. Jalen Richard, who's a pass-catching running back, is still not being used in the passing game. You have a slot wide receiver in Hunter Renfrow, who is being used to an extent. Week 2 saw a lot of targets. Week 1 and Week 3, not so much. And then you have Darren Waller, who is the number 1 option in this offense by far, leading the team in targets by a decent gap right now of about 5 targets. So you have Darren Waller in the middle of this field, who the Colts are going to say, throw it to him 5 to 7 yards. We'll let you do that. You have Derek Carr, who was already keying in on him 29 times through 3 weeks, and you have this athletic freak who is just going to be hand-given 5 and 7 yard receptions. There's a really good chance that Darren Waller catches another 10 balls this week, and that's why he's that one dude for me. The defense that he's going up against is purposely letting him in his zone defense throw short to the intermediate part of the field and the short part of the field in the middle of the field, which is where the tight end lives and where the running backs live out of the backfield. But like we said, you're not going to have a running back out of this backfield catching too many passes. Darren Waller is already a priority of this offense, and now he's going to be the priority in terms of letting that guy catch the ball in the defense. Very weird, right? But it makes sense in terms of what his own defense wants to do. Don't beat them over the top. Let Tyrell Williams beat you on short slants or short crossing routes, but he rarely does that. It's going to be Darren Waller in the middle of the field. A couple of other things to note. Malik Hooker for the Colts, who Darren Waller will be going up against, is out for 4 to 6 weeks. That makes the middle of the field that much easier for him if he wants to run intermediate and deep routes. Well, if you want to run short and intermediate routes, you know why it makes it even more easier? Darius Leonard right now is not practiced. He missed last week. He's going to be in the concussion protocol once again, and he's trending towards doubtful. If he does not practice on Friday, you're going to have no Malik Hooker and then no Darius Leonard, who is one of the better linebackers in the league, especially at defending the tight end. So you're going to have Darren Waller up against a backup tight end, up against a backup defensive back with no Malik Hooker, and already a defense that wants him to catch the ball. And now when he's going to catch the ball, you have worse tackling defenders out there and just worse coverage defenders in general. So Darren Waller, for me, Week 4 of the NFL season, the first non-receiver, but still going to be acting as a wide receiver, as a tight end, running top 5 routes right now, getting a ton of air yards, like we said, second only behind Travis Kelce. Yeah, this is a fantastic spot where I don't want anybody else on Oakland this week except Darren Waller, and I want a lot of Darren Waller. Evan Ingram's coming in the mid-20s in ownership. Will Dissly is coming in the mid-20s. I get it. The matchup looks good. Everybody thinks now Will Dissly is all of a sudden Greg Olsen and Mark Andrews caliber and TJ Hawkinson's and all these guys that had really big weeks against Arizona. I get it. They're bad against tight end, but the ownership being double Darren Waller makes no sense to me. It's not even like Darren Waller's $6,000. DraftKings is allergic to the $6,000 price tag for tight ends, it seems, right? He's $5,200, and this is a $6,000+ tight end by the end of the year, in my opinion, if he stays healthy. Derek Carr is going to key in on him. I have right now projected 10 targets for Darren Waller in this game. I have projected 8 receptions for Darren Waller in this game. Darren Waller, for me, is a guy who grades out as good as Evan Ingram, as well as Travis Kelce this week, and he's $2,000 less than Travis Kelce. So, yes, for me, Darren Waller is that one dude, the guy who is top 5 in every single measurable and meaningful tight end receiving category this year. The ones that quantify snaps, he's 95% of the snaps. The ones that quantify top 5 in routes run, he has that. Targets, top 2. Receptions, the best. Yards, top 5. It's everything for me. And then you factor in a defense that's going to allow him to do whatever he wants. And then you factor in that defense is also in the key spots to defend tight ends in the secondary and at linebacker are also now going to be injured. So Darren Waller, that one dude, week 4. Let's bounce back from Emmanuel Sanders. Let's get back to the Cooper Kupps and the Keenan Allens from week 1 and week 2. Let me know what you think of Darren Waller this week. $5,200. I love the guy. My name's Sal. You already know that. Check me out on Twitter at SalVetriDFS. Hit the subscribe button for this very concise video on that one dude for this week. Appreciate it, and have a good one. Peace out, gang.
Hey, hold up. 1 second. Check out this page. If you haven't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button, all right? And if you're interested in Patreon, if you're not already a patron, you can hit that button on Patreon, become a patron, it will take you right there. You can also check me out on Twitter at SalVetriDFS. And hey, if you're interested, this next video that's about to pop up, why don't you check it out as well. See ya.